welcome to Gay Liberation Network's live call-in show on CAN-TV. And Gay Liberation, you can get more information on us at our website that is here on your screen. We are Chicago's direct action network of LGBT organizers that focus on more than just gay issues. Tonight we are going to be focused on marriage and the March on Springfield to get marriage equality. I am your host, Brent Holman-Gomez, and we have a special guest, Kim Hunt of Affinity Community Services, with us this evening, and their website is listed here. Our topic is Springfield, Illinois, and getting marriage equality in the state of Illinois on Tuesday, October 22nd. There is a march that has been called to raise public awareness and get our politicians to make a move to include same-sex marriage here in the state. And Kim Hunt of Affinity Community Services, which focuses particularly on Black Chicagoans' needs for LGBT services, is here to speak with us. Kim, what are some of the reasons for this March on Springfield?
I'm glad you asked that. You know, the whole impetus of the march, and first of all, I'm very happy to be here, a big admirer of the Gay Liberation Network. But the impetus behind the March on Springfield, or sometimes as we mistakenly call it, the March on Washington in Springfield, but we're trying to get that together, it comes out of the disappointment from May 31st when the bill that had passed the Senate was not called for a vote in the House, SB 10. And there was a level of frustration in the community because many people felt that, well, a number of things. One of the things that people felt was that they weren't asked to be involved in any way, and they wanted to be. There was a lot of blame that was put out, some of it justified, some of it a little more complicated than what people believe. And there was a desire to really bring awareness both to the power and diversity of the LGBT community, and also offer a space for our allies to show support in a bigger and more meaningful way.
Yeah, and the idea of a march, is particularly important for Gay Liberation Network. We are, as I said earlier, a direct action group, and we see marches and people mobilizing in the streets as a key component of the way that social change and political change occur. And do you know if a march on Springfield has ever been done for LGBT rights in the past?
To my knowledge, for marriage equality, definitely not. To my knowledge, there hasn't been a show of force in the way that's planned for October 22nd. And it's October 22nd, just a lot of people ask why October 22nd. First of all, that's a Tuesday. But it's also the first day of the fall veto session. And so we know that many of the legislators will be there. And so we want them to see us. We want them to see the whole community.
Right. Again, it is Tuesday, October 22nd, 2013, and that is the first day of the veto session when the legislators can vote to bring same-sex marriage to Illinois. You can get information to attend the march at our website, www.marchonspringfield.org. Both Gay Liberation Network and Affinity Community Services will be arranging buses for people to get to Springfield for the day. You are also encouraged at that website to visit Amtrak and carpool and view a variety of other ways to get yourself to Springfield from the Chicago area where we are broadcasting here. There are a variety of groups throughout the state the Quad Cities, Springfield, Champaign-Urbana, Decatur, Champaign-Urbana, Carbondale, that are planning to be attending, and we are working to get thousands to the state capitol. This is a chance for you here in Cook County, whether you are in a district that is already supportive of the bill or not, to make your person seen in Springfield and push this forward. We know that marches such as the memorial that we just had a couple weeks ago in Washington for the 1963 March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom can be very effective. And they are an element of getting legislation passed. And so that is the spirit. These marches on Washington to get things passed is the spirit that we bring for this march on the Illinois Capitol in Springfield. It's also been effective in the state of Washington to get marriage passed. I think that there was also one in Maine many years ago. So this has been effective before, and is viewed as one aspect to go along with the lobbying and things. So community outreach, and if we want to get thousands of people to Springfield, which is a city of only a few thousands of people itself.
On a normal day.
We are doing a variety of aspects of making sure that all of the LGBT community, as well as our allies, are aware of this march. Do you want to share more about that?
Sure. All of the organizations involved are posting information on their websites, Facebook pages, doing constant Twitter updates. We are also bringing materials to the events that we already have scheduled, as well as making sure that our partners across the state have materials available for their events. We are actually working in conjunction with the Illinois Unites for Marriage Coalition to get the word out. It's a separate entity, separate effort, because you mentioned the lobbying and policy part versus the march itself. But these two efforts are going hand in hand, and there's also information on the coalition's website at illinoisunites.org. So we got T-shirts, bumper stickers. All of us were at market days, the Pride events, everything that's coming up, because we don't have that many days. We were just talking before coming into the show, and the weather can attest to that. Fall is here. And October 22nd is around the corner, so we are just trying to get the word out in every way possible.
Churches are arranging buses, bars are arranging buses, there are ethnic groups that are arranging buses, people to go, and there's just a variety of people. You can sign up on the website to become a team captain, to get just a group of friends and say, hey, I'm going to bring 20 people to Springfield in a van or whatever.
Yeah.
So there is, a lot of groundswell of people talking about this. We're looking at maybe 50 people or so from Decatur, Illinois, from one group, which is really good. And people from the suburbs as well as the city. Buses will be leaving from points in the suburban locations as well as urban neighborhoods. So. Please do, again, make sure to check out the March on Springfield. The other aspect of these marches historically has also been that they're good organizing, just to get people from across the state to know each other and know who each other are. And I know that I attended a march in Washington a few years ago, and I'm still in touch with some of those people from other states, and those connections have come in useful over the last few years.
I'll bet. The other thing about the marches, as you said, is it's about building the network. And We need a multi-identity coalition to do all of our human rights work. All of us do. You mentioned Gay Liberation Network, not just focusing on gay issues, and Affinity is a lot like that as well. You know, a lot of the work that we do is more intersectional, so it's really about the whole person. So, and with LGBT folks of color, they tend to live in communities of color, and a lot of the stressors and the activities and the issues that we hear about in the news all the time that impact communities of color are impacting the LGBT people in those communities. So we can't separate all of those identities from our work, which is why we tend to, like Gay Liberation Network, take the more intersectional approach, so we don't have a gay agenda, so to speak.
Right. Jobs for everyone are important to everyone, including LGBT.
Exactly.
And you were telling me just before the program that there's also, you've got some statistics and things that just show why, how marriage in particular is important to Black LGBTs, maybe even more than other LGBTs.
Thank you for bringing that up, because I think the little known fact is that just like with the rest of the country, the demographics are shifting within the LGBT community at large, and just as the rest of the country is becoming browner and even less affluent, the same is happening within the LGBT community. So a lot of times people believe that marriage equality is an issue of white gay men only, and that other folks are not impacted by this. And let's keep in mind, we know that marriage is not the number one issue for a lot of people, but we also know that some of the most vulnerable families in our community are headed by same-gender loving women of color. They tend to have children over and above white men or even African-American gay men, and they tend to be less affluent because of the issues related to gender bias and gender identity bias. So this is a hugely important issue for many of the constituents of Affinity, and it's not that everybody wants to get married, but we know that marriage is the vehicle that's used in this country for protecting families, for passing on assets, for building wealth, and even as a unit of import in the census and as a political measure. The households are what people look at, and our households are being ignored presently.
Yeah, I mean, marriage is a key component of the social safety net that we have set up. I mean, the only way that a person can get some Social Security benefit if their partner dies is if they've got a real marriage license.
Yes.
And can access Social Security benefits.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because a lot of people think that what happened with the Supreme Court and the DOMA decision, that everything is fine for LGBT couples. But if you're in a state like Illinois, where marriage between same-sex individuals is not legal, then you don't have those federal protections that many other, or not enough, couples have across the country where marriage is legal.
Yeah. Let's talk about that a little bit more. You can get more information on all of these topics at gayliberation.net. And again, we are talking about getting people to Springfield, Illinois on Tuesday, October 22nd, 2013. That's our state capital right there. For the March on Springfield, and you can get more information at marchonspringfield.org. So currently in Illinois, we have a law that is called civil unions that same-sex couples and others can access to get many of the benefits of marriage, but they are all state-based benefits. So it's state taxes and some, it's a lot of benefits, but it is not some of these social safety net things that are provided by the federal government. And so the DOMA decision and some of those decisions that the administrations that the various agencies have said that we want to see, the federal government wants to see a real marriage license from some state in order to do this. So we've got a caller, and Nelson, you're on the air.
Yes, thank you for taking my call. My question is, do either of you have any information where I can go on the web and look up to see how far Social Security is going to go back and recognize gay marriages, or how far back will they go in those states that did have approved gay marriage? And the reason why I'm bringing that up is, well, first of all, I'm a gay male in my 50s, and in the 80s, a lot of my friends was going through marriage ceremonies, even though in some states, like you said, like Illinois, didn't approve of it. But I have some friends in other states where gay marriage is now approved and accepted. And I'm wondering if they went through the ceremony where they actually got married by a minister, and they're now in their 60s, is Social Security going to honor those spousal claims, disability, survivor claims when it applies to, like it does with a straight couple?
Thank you, Nelson.
Sure.
You want to go?
Neither of us are, licensed to practice this kind of business. As I understand it, the rule is you need to present a marriage certificate from a state of the United States or from a foreign sovereign country that recognizes the two parties that are being referenced in your claim as married.
Right, married according to the state, not the ceremony isn't enough. We know that many couples have had ceremonies and in churches, but they aren't necessarily marriages recognized by the state. Marriage, not civil unions, not domestic partnerships. And my understanding is for those couples who are in states where marriage is allowed, the benefits would be applicable from the date of their marriage, their state recognized marriage. But if you have any questions about that, if they have any questions, they should actually call the Social Security office, because there was some recent clarification on processes and what DOMA means regarding Social Security that was handed down. We may have a few things on our Facebook page, actually, and you can check Lambda Legal's website and maybe even ACLU's in Equality, Illinois.
And since Kim referenced it, I'll just put back on your screen the Affinity Community Services website, www.affinity95.org. And there are some resources there. But again, we highly encourage you to actually speak to the horse and speak to Social Security and have them answer your question. The IRS and Social Security have just announced their positions, and so they are definitely well aware of going through this. I know that some of them, they have like a special FAQ page on their website just to look at same-sex marriage issues this summer. So great question, Nelson. Thank you very much for calling in. So we are, Illinois does not have a marriage license that they will grant, and so that is the reason for this effort, is because we want these social safety net services, because it's, marriage is really about being able to take care of one another.
Right.
And the LGBT community has had less resources to be able to take care of ourselves and take care of one another than have other communities, simply because we have not had any ability to access the benefits that come through a marriage process. And so that is falling into line with the federal government, and the Illinois state has made this effort with the civil union to provide some of these services, but it's not enough at this point. We also know that putting same-sex relationships in a different legal structure as the state of Illinois does with the civil union, perpetuates the attacks on LGBT people and the second-class kind of concept that society takes towards LGBTs. Do you have anything you'd like to say about
Well,
that?
it also puts an undue burden on people who want to protect their families and go to the extreme of even going to another state that allows marriage. I think the mayor of Minneapolis was here last week or earlier this week, encouraging same-sex couples to come to Minneapolis and get married, because there's a whole line of thought around the economic benefits of marriage for same-sex couples. But you're right, the second-class citizenship, or even worse, I want to acknowledge that marriage does nothing for our transgender brothers and sisters. And there's still a lot to do for that part of our community, but yes, it creates this legal situation where you have rights in one way but not in another. My partner and I, for example, have been together for over 14 years, and we decided that we would have a civil union because we had a civil union because we thought we needed to have it for me to stay on her insurance. And so I want to acknowledge that we know people who have had long-term relationships that may or may not want to be married, and I want to honor those long-term relationships. But there's another layer that comes to make sure that your loved one is taken care of. So we did the civil union to make sure that I could continue to have benefits. And I've been married in the past to a man, and the level of benefits that you receive, I think most heterosexual couples have no clue what kind of privilege that is, to be able to know that your spouse is going to be taken care of, and to know that there will be no question when you go to the hospital and who's going to sign forms and all that stuff. All those little things that many straight couples take it for granted are just not in the realm of possibility right now for LGBT couples in Illinois.
Yeah. And we do fully recognize that this is the element of LGBT rights that is closest to having a watershed moment and being able to secure some more access to the life that LGBT people need. And there's lots of other things. Sex education needs to be more inclusive of LGBTs. There are lots of transgender rights that need to and recognitions that need to be put in place so that we can all be sure that we can obtain employment and housing, and just social engagement with people. So this is not the be all and the end all, but it is the closest thing that we have to bringing fullness of life for everyone. So please visit our website, www.marchonspringfield.org, and make plans to take the day off work on Tuesday, October 22nd, or just whatever plans you need to make to get yourself to Springfield. Again, there is transportation information available on that website. Any parting shots?
Just get on the bus, people.
Get on the bus to Springfield. Have a good night.